Hello, everybody. It's Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. My name is John. This is my channel, your Renaissance man. Anyways, I want to talk about Trump a little bit today because it's amazing to watch everything that's happened so far. Yes, I voted for him. I'm not a hardcore Trumpster like some people. I'm encouraged by his campaign promises, and I'm encouraged by what he's done so far. There's a lot of people that are unhappy with him, I guess, but those are probably the people that didn't vote for him. I haven't heard anybody that voted for him that's disappointed. What I'm seeing him doing is stuff that I saw him talk about on the campaign trail. And I'm more impressed that he's following through with it than what he's actually doing, because this is what he said he was going to do, and he's doing it. I mean, we're not living in the age where politicians follow through anymore. So, that's part of his quest also, to follow through on promises. Whether you like his promises or not, that's a whole other agenda. That's a whole other problem. But for those of us who voted for him and wanted to see this happen, we're impressed. It's fun. I mean, this is fun to watch. I mean, this is like watching the Olympics. Every day you're looking to tune in and see what happened. It's like, what happened today? Did we win a gold medal? I mean, America's winning every day right now. Yeah. If you're not on the Trump wagon, I get it. But if you voted for this, you got to be impressed. This is amazing. It's to see the follow through. I mean, if he, his first term was 2016, of course. And if he would have went into office 2020, you would have never seen probably half of this stuff that's happened so far, maybe even a quarter of it. Because this is a man on a mission now after 4 years of being dragged through the mud, in the legal system, and trying to everything they could do to keep him from running, to keep him out of, because he's just been gaining momentum nonstop, since he, didn't take the presidency in 2020. I think if he would have went straight into office in 2020 and finished his second term, it would have been just kind of a gradual carrying the momentum a little bit further, a little bit harder, a little bit, it's like, do a little bit more, a little bit more. Now I see what we can do. Let's try this, try that, because he didn't have any political experience. And I think that 4 years of dragging him through the mud, yeah, you guys created a monster, Democrats. You really did. You created a monster. You unleashed your worst enemy and created your enemy for 4 years. And I don't see him as a man on a mission for vengeance. I see him a man on a mission to correct the direction of this country, which I think a lot of us agree that the direction has been lost. It's not headed the direction that we were told our country was going to be there for us, and it hasn't been there for us for many years now. And you're seeing the alphabet agencies used against the public, going after, turning what used to be minor altercations into big altercations, and just taking away people's ability and their drive, and, emasculating males and destroying the definition of females. And it's been a hard thing to choke on as a U.S. citizen for the last 4 years, to see the way, I call it devolving. We're not evolving, we were devolving. And I see Trump trying to correct all that and at least get us back to where we, the way we were going for many decades before this, I get it. You can question it as being wrong. It's all subjective. When we have elections the way we do, where the country's pretty much split in half. Yeah, half of them are going to be unhappy. Yeah, that half was really unhappy the last 4 years. Now that other half is happy and the other half is unhappy. That's kind of the way the pendulum swings with politics right now. But yeah, it's what's disheartening for me as a voter, a U.S. citizen, whatever, is to see how much he's done in 4 weeks, and to think that all the other politicians had this power to do this. Nobody wanted to. Nobody wanted to, audit the government and see where all our money's going. It's one of those things that's always talked about. And it's kind of like it's common knowledge that, Yeah, the government wastes our money. They spend money on stuff that we don't approve of, and we have no say where the money's spent, and and so on and so forth. And now we're actually seeing proof of that, which solidifies all our concerns, And the people that are worried about Elon having too much power, stop listening to mainstream media. You obviously don't understand his role. He is basically analyzing data is all he's doing. He's writing programs to sift through data and look for irregularities, look for red flags, and then put underneath the microscope to see if there's any validity to why it's a concern. And then it's being handed over to Trump to go further with it. Elon's not making decisions on this stuff. You guys are getting brainwashed way too much listening to the mainstream media. You guys got to shut that crap off. He's there as an advisor, and it's a temporary role. It's short term. I think it's like he's 130 days they've got, or something like that. I forgot what it was, but it's all legal. I mean, they're operating within the law even, and everything that's being, oh God, it's just an all-out war on the Democrat side. And it's getting embarrassing to watch them lie as hard as they are to try and sway the perception of us. You know what I mean? And Trump has been doing very well with transparency. If you watch the networks that cover him, I mean, he's getting in front of the press. I'm seeing him, I think, at least 2 to 3 times a week with open questioning. And then plus the weekly press conference with the press secretary. I have never seen this much information come out and then answer questions directly and dealing with it. Yeah, they're tiptoeing around some stuff. It's a little bit gray on this Palestinian stuff in Gaza. That stuff's kind of raising red flags with me. I'm not quite sure how to think of that. Like I said, I'm not a full-blown supporter of him. I do like what his intentions are right now. I'm watching it. I'm paying attention, trying to keep my eyes open and not get snowballed by having so much happen you forget what's going on somewhere else. But I mean, he's bringing home people that have been imprisoned in other countries. We took what was Riley Gaines or whatever, the female basketball player, that was caught with marijuana in Russia, and Biden bent over backwards to get her home, and and it's like, okay. And now we just had a person released from Russia that was there for the same reason. And this was your average Joe citizen that had no ability to defend himself. That's when our government is supposed to step in. This is where you people should be pissed off at the government. We have a middle-aged school teacher in Russia with a 14-year prison sentence for a half ounce of marijuana. Okay? If you don't like marijuana, I get it. I don't use it. I'm not a big fan of it, like for all the political stuff. And I'm indifferent with marijuana. But to see a U.S. citizen that was locked up in Russia, been locked up for 3.5 years. So that was all during Biden's term. So he did what he could to get Riley out of jail. So, I mean, and he turned over war criminal or what was that guy, the gun runner or whatever, that Russian guy that we had locked up. He rolled over to get this basketball player off and didn't get anybody else. And so when I saw that we had this school teacher, sitting in prison for 3.5 years and a 14-year sentence for a half ounce of marijuana, when you got this WNBA player released, why weren't you doing a negotiation with everybody we had over there that was a citizen? I mean, granted, military, political, others, bad or, real crimes or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what else we got over there, because it sounds like we have like 1,000, or what did they say the other day? We had, I don't know if it was 6,000 or 1,000 people locked up around the world in different countries that are U.S. citizens. Granted, not all of them are minor crimes like, a half ounce of marijuana. Some of them are actually really bad people. But they said the State Department right now is actively working on getting 100 of them free that are something more like this gentleman that was released the other day. So, I mean, that's what our State Department is supposed to do. And that's what scared me with the Biden the Biden administration was, some of this stuff was coming out in the news, like, oh, I can't remember the country, but there was this guy that was traveling in another country, and he had ammunition, handgun ammunition in his bag, no gun, and they wanted to lock him up because they had a zero tolerance in their country, which fine, so be it. But this was something, he didn't even have a firearm. So I mean, this was obviously something that was a mistake. And that's where our State Department is supposed to get involved and say, hey, look, I know you guys have a zero tolerance for firearms and that kind of stuff. We don't want to make this a big deal, but we will if you're not going to let them go. Let's just say, send them home. We'll just say, what's done is done. Just walk away from it, but please don't do that. Otherwise, we're going to do something bad. We're going to take this serious and we're going to put pressure on you in a way you don't like or whatever. Take it seriously and defend your citizens. So when your country isn't defending your own citizens somewhere else in the world for minor stuff like that, where the State Department can get involved and flex its muscle a little bit and then you're home, that's what they're there for. That's why you pay your taxes. That is what your government is supposed to do for you. And that's what Trump is trying to get the government doing again, looking out for your best interests, the best interests of the people that are paying the bills for the government that's in place. That's what he's trying to do. And he's trying to offer transparency, like release the MLK, JFK, RFK, assassination files, UFO. He's going to go through all this crap and release it and make it public information, what they know. It's time. It's time for us to know what our government's been doing. It's time for us to be shared in. Why? Because we paid for all that crap. We pay for all those investigations. We pay for the men in black suits that run around in the night and hide stuff from us and black helicopters and all this other crazy stuff that we don't always know about, Granted, maybe you can't, maybe some of it will have to stay censored on a level because of national security, but you can always tiptoe around the details and say, yeah, the government was involved with that. We do know more about it. Yeah, there are aliens. We have had contact with them. Whatever. Yeah, it was an inside job. Our government did kill JFK. Okay, why? Our government's been getting away with zero accountability for a long time. And it's horrible because, our nation is financed by us, the individuals, the citizens of this country, And so it's been a long time coming that it does steer around the other way. And to see the Democrats not get on board with any of it is really, you're poking holes in your lifeboat, Democrats. This is your chance to kind of come to middle ground with the Republicans on some of the stuff that does matter to you and just say, yeah, I'd like to know more about that. We don't need big government. We don't need the government as big as it is. Let's save our constituents. Let's save them money. Let's lower taxes. Let's help our voters. You know what I mean? And to have them dig their heels in firmly and just call Trump out on everything as being a lie and, defaming him as a person and whatever. Yeah, he's got a brash personality. I get that. He rubs people raw. He's a little brash. He's a little rough around the edges. He says it like it is. That's why I admire him, because that's kind of my personality. So to watch this crap that's going on now, Democrats, you guys, this is your chance to gain some approval back from the public by getting on board with some of the stuff that does match your views, and save some face. But to dig your heels in completely when he is just, doing miraculous stuff that nobody else was willing to do because of whatever reason, unmotivated, don't care anymore, just worried about their own personal agenda when you get in office, not having accountability to the public. You got to remember, that's why he's doing this, is because he's doing it because he wants to fix our country. So what did he do? He ran for president again. And then he listened to people. That's what politicians are supposed to do. Listen to the voters. If I get voted in, what do you want me to do? They're called public servants for a reason. Serve the public. That's what their job is. And we've been seeing that for years, that they're self-serving agendas, and then they're telling us what's right. And it's just like, well, that's because we're smarter than you. You just don't understand the big picture. We have to do this. We have to spend money on this. We have to do this. We have to do that. We have to raise your taxes to finance all this stuff. I know you're having a hard time paying your bills, but this is what's better for the world. Ah, who cares about you that's paying for the world? It's just like, it is such a, oh my God, it's just such a circus. It's hard. It's just, yeah, it's Alice in Wonderland through the looking glass. It's like, what is reality? It's, the stuff we've been forced to choke on for so many years now. It's finally being uprooted, and it's good to see it uprooted, because what we're being told to accept as normal, it doesn't feel good in 90% of us, I would guess. At least 90% of us. It's like, no, that's just not right. You can't reprogram, the human intuition, our natural responses, our natural way of doing things. There's some of it is just pre-wired in us, and to try to reprogram us. I mean, you can reprogram people into submission, but they're still going to not like it. And they're still going to be in pain, and they're still going to want to fight back. So, I mean, it's buying you time, but it's not going to get you. You can't reprogram people 100%. You know what I mean? It just doesn't work that way. You can brainwash them so much. China, for example, they're going to have a problem at some point, because the way they're ruling, yeah, that type of society. I mean, they were having a heck of a time during the virus. We'll just call it that. And yeah, I mean, they were on the verge of uprisings, and eventually they are going to have that problem, because the government, in China doesn't really respond to the public at all. It's pretty much ruled with an iron fist. This is the way things are. You got to like it. Eventually there's going to be a movement where it's strong enough where the people are just done, but then they keep trying to figure out a way to keep them down more. If you don't comply, we're going to punish you in this way. So maybe now you don't have food for a day. Well, next time you won't have food for 2 days. Next time you won't have food for 3 days. But eventually people realize that there is strength in numbers. And if you all stand up at the same time, they can't stop you, which would have worked with the virus in this country. And it did work in some parts. But if enough people would have stood up, they can't make you all sit down. They just can't. You got to remember, we're the ones that are in control of this ultimately, and we're supposed to be. They're taking it away from you. They're taking away from your input. They're not fulfilling what you want them to do for you. They're making your life more expensive. They're making your life more difficult. Ultimately, they're there to make your life better and listen to your concerns to make your life better. Government is there to serve you, not you them. Keep that in mind. So those of you upset about Trump, get over it. Pay attention. Look at what's actually happening. Be excited that we're finding billions and millions and trillions and whatever many dollars unexplained, going to places that 99% of the people would say, why are we spending money there? If we didn't spend money there, my taxes would go down. If we weren't spending there, my government wouldn't go bankrupt. You know what I mean? There's a lot of irresponsibility that's been going on from zero accountability, because we haven't had a say in our government for a long time now. And if we go bankrupt, people that don't understand how finances work to the level that they think we can just print our way out of it, that's why we're having the financial problems we are right now with inflation, higher cost of living. Everything going up is from printing free money for 4 years, giving it to everybody except our own people, and our money is becoming worth less and less. So our expenses are going up and things are becoming more expensive. That's from out of control spending. I wish people understood the economics a little bit better than what they do, because there's a large portion of the population that, I mean, I get it. It's hard to spend as much time on politics. It does take a lot of time out of your life, and a lot of people would just rather place their vote and then hope it gets better. And if it doesn't, then vote a different way the next time. But that's kind of what led us to the problems we had. Is my buddy calls it, what do you say, complacency in voting, meaning, okay, whatever, just vote for him, not really figuring out and not really looking at what they're doing. Too many years of complacent voting has got us to where we're at. And that's what steered this election differently from previous years, and that's why Trump won. I mean, he's doing what politicians are expected to do, and they're no longer doing. He's out there talking to the public. I mean, when you watch him talk, I feel like he's your average man. I mean, I know he's not, but he at least listens to you and talks to you on your level, acknowledges, responds, doesn't tell you you're wrong. You know what I mean? That's what just drives me nuts with politicians. Previously, recently, whatever. Oh, that's not right. You shouldn't want that. What do you mean I don't want that? Why shouldn't I want that? You know what I mean? That would make my life easier. That would make me be able to afford more stuff. Make my life less expensive. You know, whatever. Things that make my life easier. And you're going to tell me I'm wrong for feeling that way because we should spend money in another country to help people and we're not helping our own people. You know, that kind of crap. It is such a quagmire. So yeah, I admire the man for what he's doing. He's, as far as I can tell right now, this will probably be one of the biggest pivotal points in our country's history, provided he gets it in the direction he's intending for it. This will be the rebirth of our nation by far. And I'm not saying that lightly. It's a long time coming. We were on the fringe of losing it. You know what I mean? I mean, where we were going to start losing our rights more so and more so, like Canada, Australia, the UK. You know, we're reclaiming our country at a time where it was necessary if we were to have a chance at reclaiming it. Let's say it that way. And God bless them. Keep doing it, Mr. Trump. Yeah, keep it going, buddy. We put you in there to do this, and you're doing it. So, God bless. Talk to you soon.